I think we're here. Do I remember how to do this? It's Friday, and it's another edition, but a slightly different edition of Anytime with Ken and Alden. How to hang in there is the question hanging over us, and we are hanging in here. Alden Diaz is there. I'm Ken Knapsack. How you doing?
Hello. Buddy? I'm doing okay. I'm feeling good. I'm excited to be back. I never know how to sit. That's a big thing that I need to work on.
Well, you know, I know. Let's speak some truths to power. You're the power. You don't have a situation where you're in an individual home studio. You have to make do, and I think you do a great job of making do.
Oh yeah, it's a total fabrication. Everything that is not this exact corner, chaos. No, it's actually it's a really nice house. Like it's a nice, well done house. But I mean, when you're not with somebody in the industry, as you are. Then, you know, because you can say, like, doing a show, and then your fiance, the legend, Grace, understands, oh, he's locked in, he's doing a show. You know, when you say that to most people out in the world, family members, roommates, whatever, they're like, oh, what is he doing on YouTube? He's just, okay, all right.
Is he on the YouTube?
It doesn't translate as much.
How's that working out for you?
Doing the YouTube? Oh, right now?
How's that working out? That's what I used to get.
Yeah. But yeah, we are back indeed. A lot of we're back in the comments. Yes, we took a couple of weeks off for individual reasons. I had a wedding that I went to, which was wonderful. My first time in Oregon, which beautiful and great friend of mine that I know via Star Wars, but we also went to high school together, but didn't know each other in high school. So it's a very small world.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
what part of Oregon specifically?
It was in Hood River, which is gorgeous. Just gorgeous. Okay. Literally there on the water, small town, just a beautiful venue. I mean, she walked down the aisle to marry her now husband on a mountaintop overlooking a valley, perfect sun, perfect clouds, while your father would be proud from Giacchino's Rogue One score played. And it was just one of the greatest moments.
Wait a minute.
Her dad walked her down the aisle to Your Father Would Be Proud, and we all cried.
As you know, that is one of my favorite pieces of Star Wars music, and every once in a while I do get to hang out with Michael. I think I'll get to mention that the next time I see him. Hey, this was used. Your sad, everyone's dying Star Wars music was used at a wedding.
You're getting wedding play. Yeah, it was great, and you know, to hear the vows and the actual presentation of the wedding and everything. Like Qui-Gon Jinn was mentioned. Like I told her, I said, you are now the first bride, maybe ever, to be blessed by both God and Qui-Gon Jinn.
Gods and monsters, generals and gods and generals, Qui-Gon and that's great. No, and I cut you off a little bit. I want to get some details, Totally. Love it. Yeah, missed some time, and I think up top, we'll address not anything bad. We took a couple weeks off. I'm gone next week for a very important medical appointment. Fingers crossed. You might be around, but we had a discussion. We want to let everyone know, it's been spotty lately. But anytime the brand and the idea not going away, we're changing vibes right now. Things are a little different. No Affleck segment, no lyric segment, less segments of a show. It's just gonna be us figuring things out. What did you call it? Vibes? What'd you call this show?
We're going vibes, and you know, like there's an industry side of that, of course, that we talk about off air and stuff, like who's doing what and whatever. And you don't want to chase, but we created this because we love talking to each other, especially about non-Star Wars stuff. And not that we ever lost it, but we might be operating as two radio guys in a very radio way in a non-radio world. Is the nicest way to put it. So we're going to we're gonna peel it back. We're gonna relax. We're gonna open up more behind the curtain and just sort of go.
Yeah. I without a doubt, part of the reason I launched the show was I wanted to do a full throttle. I wanted to yell at Mike Johnson every week. I wanted to do a very segmented broadcasty show, which I still have dreams of doing. And that might emerge. Anytime news, anytime at the movies. We had a lot of big ideas. My life changed a lot in the early part of this year. where the time and energy to build an entire brand from ground up was not available to me, and that's changed. And that's why I titled this episode "How to Hang in There." I think there's survival going on, not just you and I, with everyone. And you and I had a meeting last week where I kind of was like, you know what, I might be ready to jump out of the plane, and I want to give you credit by going, no, we're flying this plane. It's just the plane's going to maybe fly a lower altitude right now before we can reach for the stars again.
Yeah, Ken and I, to make a Star Wars reference, we're now flying half a ship, but in the best way, and not with a genocidal emperor sitting next to us. We are going to, not that you were gonna quit. This is not like a behind the band.
No. I wasn't like, I'm out of here. I just was like, I don't know. Quite frankly, I was like, I don't know if I can keep going. Like, I just don't know if all this stuff I do is what I need to do right now.
Totally. And we all have so many like side things, especially you. I mean, you do upwards of 10, 12 broadcasts a week. When you got all your things firing at once. And my whole thing was, we don't need to, to give up on an idea. We just need to remind ourselves that the idea started in a relaxed place on your show, The Blathering, and it can still be that. And we'll build stuff out. And, and life's weird. And, not to bring up sad stuff, but, I was at this wedding, and you were going through a loss. The legend himself, Baxter.
Yeah, Baxter Boy.
The king has moved on to the Rainbow Bridge, and and that was a big thing. But then Happy came quick, because then you had a birthday party. So it's been busy. It's been weird.
Birthday, and then also the blessing is I'm working again. I dance around a little bit. I'll just say I work for a channel called the Y-Files, which is a fun, interesting channel. Great people there, but it's an exhaustive, in a fun way. I'm having a ton of fun, but it's an exhaustive research-based writing project that I work on daily, sometimes till 12 o'clock at night. And it's one of those, like, thank God it's not, full-time shift at Trader Joe's. But if, that's what you have to do, you have to do. I have to make that decision to buckle down and work on a job that I have. You know what I mean? Versus I've chased the dream, and I'm continuing to chase the dream. But after I got laid off from Collider in 2018, I've been living off of hopes and dreams and prayers to try to make this work. And some things have worked. Force Center is continuing to grow. This is something that emerged. I love trying new things, but I need to concentrate on this job. Like, even you texted me this morning. We're like, hey, we're going to do this. And I was like, yes, I could do it. Let me get it set up. I'm also trying to find out what JFK said exactly about possible military bases on the moon. All right. So I need to get back to you. And it's just been fun, but I love it.
There's no shame in the grind, which is something that we've talked about in different ways. And we all have to do our thing. But I think a big thing with Anytime that I've said to you off air, and that I'll say for the viewers to hear, is that I resent a industry landscape, which it's solidified. It really is this, where your idea doesn't have time. Like we both do Casually Talk, which will be back, and we'll talk about that maybe at the end with plugs in a different form as well. And we had a show there that really meant a lot to me, and a lot of people called Willow, that came out and got not just canceled, but deleted from being watchable less than 6 months into its existence. So it didn't even get what used to be a broadcast season to live or die. And I'm not going to let that happen with this show. It's something that we both love, with our people here in the comments. Like, we're not making money off of this right now. We're not making, we're not getting invited to Influencer Day with Bob Iger. Like, that's not happening.
God, I wouldn't want that anyways.
I wouldn't want it either, but I would love to go with you. I'd love to watch you do it.
Here's the thing. I've been open with this. I like Iger enough to where I would shake his hand and have a conversation. I wouldn't post a picture of it like I've known some people to do.
Sure.
I like him enough. Like, I'm still rooting for him to have this come to Jesus. I am a pro-labor democratic socialist in a yacht. It's not going to happen. And he's done some and said some really bad things over the last year or so with the strike. Like, we're a year out from the strike starting. Which is crazy time.
Wow.
But yeah, there's part of that game I'm glad I'm not in.
Look, this is not to make the show this, but we talk about, like, Iger, when are you going to start doing good stuff again? You used to be the only cool suit, and then you had like the performers, the live action, the live performers at Disney have voted to unionize. Yeah. And then in the 2 weeks or 3 weeks since that happened, 2 of the live shows at Disneyland in California have been cut. And it's like, you
Yeah.
guys are ruthless. They were like, this will be the final performance of Doctor Strange's whatever. And it's like, oh my God.
Yep. It's a thing. It's a thing. But anyways, yeah, we're here. So that's our intro for the show. Yeah, we'll have an update on Castle Lake Talk. I mentioned a little bit on my Blathering live stream yesterday, which is another thing I just love doing, and the Blathering side to my Patreon page more directly. So it's a moneymaker. And by the way, I mentioned, I don't want anyone in the audience to watch me like we only get up every morning to do things for money. Clearly, I haven't for a lot of my life. The problem is those realities.
Yeah.
And I personally am at that spot that I have not been in about 5-6 years, where the reality is, if I want to continue to eat, literally want to continue to eat, I need to concentrate on things that are put in front of me that create those opportunities. And that's my job with the Y-Files and some other stuff and Force Center expanding. But I don't want any time to be trampled under that. Because I'll tell you, one day you're going to wake up and there's going to be Anytime News, a half-hour structured, written, broadcast 100%. Television quality news show. And that's my dream. And also, we're just discussing things on air. Our generation's game is a game show waiting to happen too. I actually need to talk to you off air about a conversation I had with someone at my job who was like, "That sounds great. Like, why aren't you doing that?" Like,
yeah. So. Who are the guys that do the? Sometimes you'll get like Brett and Lee Mulligan, like all those cats, like they do their game show or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, are they taking pitches? Like, can I use the 1970s set? Can I use that? I really wanted to draw attention to this real quick. Since we're doing life updates, it is not all stressful. It's not all negative. Ken Plume, the real highlight is that Ken has also been racking up truly gonzo Fortnite wins.
Yeah.
You kicking ass?
Yeah. I usually crash into my video games are relaxation for me, right? I a video game kid from the 80s, so it's relaxation. It's my bath. So I always try to make sure I have time to slump down in a chair for the last hour of my evening. And Fortnite, with all of its violence, is relaxing to me. And sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But last couple nights, Plume and I, Brian Tiller playing, we've been winning in spectacular fashion. And I hate to say it, but you go to bed a little happier.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, that has to be extremely satisfying.
Can I apologize to someone, Alden? We're just going anywhere we want to go. Okay.
Yeah, someone here watching.
Yeah, I did this privately, but I'm going to do it publicly. This morning, Molly Damon's here, one of the sweetest people in the world. This morning, Star Wars Explained's Twitter account tweeted out a very nice, hey, shout out to Force Center Pod for their work on Acolyte, whatever it was very nice. And Star Wars Explained obviously has a big Star Wars audience, and we see a boost anytime that happens. And I texted Alex. I said, "Hey man, thanks for the tweet, the post, whatever you want to say. We really appreciate it." And he goes, "That was all Molly." And I hung my head. I was like, the patriarchy wins again. Why would I assume that they didn't do it together or that Molly didn't wake up and do it? So I texted Molly, said, "I apologize, stupid patriarchy. I definitely, did not give Alex all the credit." She was very gracious about it, but thank you, Molly, for saying the nice words publicly.
See, I also have had that. I had that, I think, on an earlier episode of Anytime where you said doctor and I said he, and you were like, "No, she," or something like that. Or maybe it wasn't a doctor, it was somebody else. And that is burned into the brain. But I will say, with the Damons, I would never assume that it's Alex, because I have heard the whole explanation of how Alex doesn't keep Twitter on his phone for like mental health reasons, which is the genius.
Yes. And Molly did come back, and I don't want to share our private conversations, but Molly did come back and was like, "Hey, look, sometimes it's hard to tell." And it is Star Wars Explained, and she has her own Twitter account. So I made the joke of always two there are, but it's just those little things. Like I think if you're not seeing it, and the way we are all raised, and the way things are, it's like, it's the assumption of, if there's a man and woman at the table, the waiter's going to bring the check and drop it off and angle it towards the man, and all those kind of little things where it's like that's patriarchy at play, and just the system at play, and I felt bad for just assuming that Alex did it all.
Yeah.
And there you go. I'm trying to be better. I'm Knuff.
remember that you are exactly you are Kenneth, and you're
Yeah.
great at doing stuff. I don't know how much of the song we can sing here before getting flagged in some way.
I'll tell you what, I watched it last night. I watched that performance. I think I have not missed watching Gosling perform that song at the Oscars for 3 straight months. Like once a week.
It's
I'm
the
always
best.
watching.
It's the best.
Do you do
all
that?
of
Do
it.
you do that where I mean, we all do it with the songs find us. And
Yes.
sometimes via algorithms, something that will find you that you're like, I wouldn't normally seek it out. So that for me, this is going to be so, I don't know, I'm going to see what you think. My song that I've almost listened to, by listened to, I say watched on YouTube every day for about 3 straight weeks, is Miley Cyrus's Flowers at the 66th Grammy Awards. It popped up one day, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't watch that performance. Let me watch it." And now, I'm like, "Oh, we're gonna listen to it again. It's great."
I
It's
do
great.
specifically do that. I will watch songs and award speeches when I need them curated. But yeah, like performance wise, like especially because sometimes there's just this was never recorded, and I
Yeah.
want it. Like an example of that would be like Saint Vincent and Dua Lipa collabed and did Mass Seduction and One Kiss as a mashup.
Sure.
And you can't get that
Gotcha.
unless you watch it. And it is the single hottest thing ever committed to film or television in the history of the mediums. So that's important.
Are you sure? Because I mean, there's some episodes of Gilligan's Island where Ginger's
Oh, I'm sure.
ramping things up with the professor, and it's
I'm sure. But I love how you're saying ramping like that show is airing now. Like I'm catching
Somewhere
this
it
new
is.
program called Gilligan's Island.
somewhere it is.
But then there are things that are just about the way that they did it that time. Like even if it is like you can listen to Stairway to Heaven, you can listen to Heart's Stairway to Heaven, but the live one is great.
Yeah.
Things like that.
The other one that's I've been watching a lot recently, it popped up. This is why I'm here to fight the algorithm life we live, but also I think it does do some good. Cyndi Lauper covering Turn Back Time in front of Cher at the Kennedy Honors from like 4 years ago is an amazing performance of a great song, and Cyndi Lauper kills it. And that was on for about 2 weeks in my house every night. I was just like, if I could turn back time. It's like, yeah, I'm going to watch it again. Repeat. Yeah. Scotty, of course, brings in Kiss Unplugged. Sure knows something. Yeah, there you go. Jared says he's rewatched Castly Talk episodes over. You're the one that's getting those views up. And Chaperone's Tiny Desk. There you go.
Amazing. I introduced Ken to Chaperone.
You did, and now I need. And you're not the one to give me. You're not the one to give me the ruling on this. I've definitely seen in the meme sphere that as a an old straighty, an old white straighty, that I it might not be my realm, and I accept that. I've said this before. Some of my favorite places to go, I'll put quotations around it, are gay clubs in LA, right? And I'm putting quotations, it's a general term. But it's also, I feel like I shouldn't be there sometimes because I just look around, there's people who have never been allowed to have the joy of being themselves, and this has been a sanctuary, and maybe I can respect it. Maybe I have to respect it, and I have to understand it, but I still love God. Love God.
Well, again, like as an also a white cishet straighty, I don't think that. I think there's a difference between centering yourself. I'm speaking from the outsider,
right?
Centering yourself and enjoying. Like it's not like you're out there like I am the #1 Haley Williams fan. It's me.
Right.
So I think that's different. Like
I am.
You are. When people cross into like when people are like Happy Pride, let's celebrate the allies. It's like, all right, shut the fuck up.
Exactly. So I saw it because you introduced me to. I think I totally get it. I totally think she's a superstar. Totally get the importance of it. And then I've seen some memes of like, some bi girls are going to bring their straight boyfriends to the show and everything. And I'm like, I get it. I get it. So I'm just going to light a little flame quietly to myself.
Yeah, just sit there and vibe. Listen to Red Wine Supernova. Charlie pointing out here. New Charlie XCX album. So that means in succession we had the new Chapel single, and she's working on our second record.
Right.
There was a Taylor Swift album, a Dua Lipa album, a Saint Vincent album, a Billie Eilish album, and a Charlie album. We are eating well right now
And
for the divas.
my other favorite song on repeat is Paramore's "Burning Down the House" cover. I watch that video every day.
Fantastic, so good. I love it.
Well, in for nasty weather. I love that part.
I love everybody here putting out the specific performances. This right, Kiss Unplugged. That is one of the best.
Oh, Kiss Unplugged
ever.
Kiss Unplugged is one of the all-time unplugged shows, without a doubt.
They
with Peter Criss messing up lyrics to Rock and Roll All Night.
yeah. When they had Peter and Eric at the same time on Nothing to Lose, perfectly synced up.
Nothing to lose, oh baby. Yeah,
so good. Kermit and Debbie Harry doing Rainbow Connection. Can I say something about Rainbow Connection? Since the Henson documentary is out on Disney Plus,
I haven't watched it.
Directed by Ron Howard, you will sob. I cried a bunch of times. I cry at everything now. My family is caught on to the fact that I cry at everything, and they're making fun of me for it now. But
what do you? Okay, yeah,
all types of stuff. In this, I cried a few different times. I cried when they introduced "It's Not Easy Being Green."
Connection. Yeah, okay.
They're talking about "It's Not Easy Being Green," and then they're talking about it, and they stop and they're like, because everybody knows what that song is about. That's why it works. Like you hear that, and every human being knows that it's not easy being green. You just immediately know what that means. I started sobbing. So then the thing continues. We get to Rainbow Connection, and I had a thought where I was like, "Is this the greatest song ever written?" And so then I went down a rabbit hole of Rainbow Connection, and they also show Henson's funeral footage, by the way, which I'd never seen, and that he had left humorous instructions. And that his son Brian, who still works there, was reading them, and Henson is like, because I'm not there anymore, and and I don't care. You have to do what I say. It was very funny.
That's the way to do it. That's the way to go.
But Rainbow Connection, there is a Weezer and Haley Williams version, and it's on Spotify.
What?
Exactly, and it's Rainbow Connection from an album they did called The Green Album, which I did not know existed. That has all these Muppets
the Weezer Green Album? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know about the Green Album. See, I'm late to the Paramore game, as you know, because I ignored them for a long time, an idiot. I've never heard the Willie Nelson Rainbow Connection, too. That's got to be instant tears. All right, I'll look. Yeah, keep talking. I'll look this up. I might do a pop rockin' this week. I've been taking weeks off from pop rockin' too. I might have to do it just for this song.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Put it on there. Get in touch with your inner Kermit. So that was great.
Okay. You cried there.
That.
Yeah.
I cried. Dude, I cried everything. If I look at my letterbox right now, I can tell you right now. So last night I rewatched Up in the Air, which I know is a film we both love.
Oh God, what was going wrong with your life that you watched that movie?
So look at the last 3 films I watched. This was not intentional. I did an Anna Kendrick triple feature, which I did not plan on doing. A few days ago, I watched A Simple Favor. Have you ever watched that?
No, I have not watched A Simple Favor. No.
Paul Feig directing, Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick. It's great.
Okay.
Then I rewatched 50-50, where Joseph Gordon-Levitt has spinal cancer, and it's a dramedy about that.
Yep.
And then I rewatched Up in the Air. So I've been going through it.
Got it.
And it's great. And I sobbed at that. I rewatched Solo the other day. I cried at that.
Okay.
Okay. Rewatching Moneyball. What makes you cry in Solo? What's your emotional Solo thing?
The thing that gets me in Solo is I understand his Han is a good guy at heart, and when he feels as though he's won the day, but he in his goal of doing all this to get Kira doesn't happen, but and it hurts and it sucks. But the most important connection in his life is right here with him, and he knows it, but he's going to learn more about it. I wrote about it in Why We Love Star Wars, but that moment of them both jump into hyperspace at the end of the movie, it's such a simple little thing. It's such a little, of course, we know. It gets me. Yeah. It gets me about the adventures that they are about to have, the lifelong connection that will go, and we unfortunately, sadly, get to see that end. It just works for me. It works for me. It's such a, for me to go back and see Solo Han at that point in his life where I won the day, but he's all about the win. He's all about that we're going to win, and it's not about that, right? It's not about that. I love it. It gets me.
And it's the fact that Chewie is so much more worldly, you know, almost 200 at that point, and he
Yeah.
is already a father and all these things. And I think
Hmm.
culturally, one thing that I'm obsessed with, and a bunch of my friends have heard me say this, I think I was talking about it at the wedding, is that Chewbacca is culturally and more literally accepted to be the, you know, the stand-in for Indiana, George's dog, and that
Hmm.
it is a man and his dog. But
Hmm.
emotionally and thematically, Han is the dog. Chewbacca is the man. And Han is like your third or fourth dog, and it's a rescue, and it pees a lot, and like it's
Hmm.
scrappy and scruffy. And you can see that Chewbacca, you could see the points of the film where Chewbacca's like, I'm gonna end up keeping this dog. Like this, I'm gonna end up
you,
keeping him.
you almost maybe go into a Harry with Sally. Dog. I'm the dog. I'm the dog. In this scenario,
Yeah.
I'm the dog. Um, there you go. Good stuff. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry you're.
This is not true, JB. Don't worry about this.
Alden has a far better grasp of his feels than I do, says JMB in chat. There you go. We got some advice. If you got questions for us, specific questions, please absolutely post it. We're gonna get to some questions in the time we got. And not rushed. Yeah, Up in the Air, Jason Reitman film based on a book. I've never read the book, and I know the book plays out a little differently because it should. It's the book. It's a different format. Anna Kendrick, Clooney, Vera Farmiga. It hit me. God damn, did it hit me in the theater. And Clooney, I love him. I gotta admit that, and it's hard to because for years I think I've been a big Brad Pitt fan, and maybe now I shouldn't. But Clooney, I think he had a great run, and that was one of the runs for me. And he's obviously still going, but there was just this like Clooney era that I love, and him standing at the end, looking at all those things of where he's going to go.
Yeah.
The decision to pass the miles onto his sister, but the meeting Sam Elliott, but just the heartbreak of I finally opened myself up to someone and I get hurt. God damn, that just hit me at a point in my life where I needed it, but also that's why I was joking with you. I'll watch that film when I am low but don't want to get better, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, 100%. Like he acknowledges the miserable nature of the 40 whatever days a year that he has to be home.
Yeah,
But he
yeah.
won't. But he doesn't ever say, so when I'm home I go out or I read or I
Mm,
no. He puts himself through the
yeah,
miserable torture of being home, despite the fact that he is wealthy and has these miles that could just be anywhere.
yeah,
But it's like
yeah, and
if he doesn't
yeah.
have the 40 to torture himself with, then the
Hmm.
320 that he's on the road don't feel as rich.
Yeah. And as a workaholic, as someone who kind of only travels when he's doing stand up shows, like, yeah, there's a lot to it. And that wasn't me then when that movie came out, but there's still a lot. And plus, I love airports. And I'm a little like him when it's get in that line, 4 reasons, do this line, like pack like this.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get through. We got, you want to take some of these questions here?
Yeah,
Let's
questions.
get some good stuff.
Pepper them in.
Our friend Scotty, who I think I think's one of the greatest teachers in America. I think
I agree.
if there's a contest, like things don't need to be a competitive battle, but I think Scotty is one of the most loved and respected and memorable teachers in America. He asks, Alden and Ken, should I go see the Grateful Dead at the Sphere on July 11th? The Sphere out in Las
Yes.
Vegas.
Yes.
Yeah. I had the chance to go to the Sphere to see U2. I know a lot of you don't like U2. I get you. Literally did not kill myself in 2003 because of their music. Literally decided maybe I don't do that. So I owe a lot to that band. I get it. I'm a boomer to you. I get it, Alden. But I turned down the chance because it was just one of those like, get it. And by the way, I wasn't even going to have to pay for the ticket, but I was like, I didn't go. And I was at a dinner, and my friends who did go text me video footage. Guess who showed up? Lady Gaga. It's Lady Gaga and U2. I was like, why didn't I why? Life gave you an opportunity. You needed to pluck that from the tree and take it. So, Scotty, yes, you're going to go.
Yeah, you should go just on and also I feel like, there aren't a lot of anymore, I think, because of like venue technology, like big stadiums, arenas, everything. Like a lot of them are losing specialness. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I feel like 20, 30 years ago, it was like, oh, that arena, like, the sound there, the visuals there, whatever it is, the formatting. This is one of the only like truly one of one places to see an act. And I would love to see certain bands there, certain solo artists there. Like you mentioned Gaga, like, I think she's working on her new record right now. It's going to be out later this year.
She is. So,
yeah. So it's like when she tours, like a Gaga show in that with that capability would be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, she just released the concert footage of the Chromatica Ball, which was at they released the footage at Dodger Stadium, which was the show that Grace and I were at. So it was. I've been watching it. It's been fun to relive that. Yeah. Okay. Scotty's gonna go. His tickets are like $375. But you know what? When you're on your deathbed, Scotty, are you gonna say? And he's going, so we don't need to convince him of anything. But
yes,
when you're on your deathbed, are you gonna turn to your family and say, "I could have saved $375"? Like no.
By not seeing the Grateful Dead. Yeah, you can't, you don't get the ticket with you, as they say.
Yeah. Exactly.
Just put it on credit, Scotty. Put it on credit.
Put on credit. Great question. First of all, I don't mean to turn this into Q&A advice, but I saw some great questions coming in, so we might as well do this because this is anytime vibes. That's what we're doing. I'm having fun.
Any vibes? All right, we're going to. Oh, you want to just knock out his second one real quick?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's knock out Scotty's thoughts.
All right, Scotty's second question is: what are your favorite Smashing Pumpkins song and why? Maybe Stand Aside Your Love.
Okay, maybe I'm looking up here.
And why is I think it was one of the early ones I heard. I think it's sort of the introduction to their sound. I'm also gonna look at some other ones just in my playlist.
Yeah. So here's what I'll say. So Smashing Pumpkins are a band I appreciate more now than I did when they were at their peak and when I was in radio. Sure. I was coming from my oldies upbringing, Beatles and Three Chords and the Truth, all done in 3 minutes and all that kind of stuff. Big Oasis fans was then, still now. But Pumpkins represented kind of a genre of music that I didn't fully understand, and it was not, and still is not my favorite. I'm not a huge Nirvana fan. I'm not a huge Soundgarden fan, a Pearl Jam fan, that whole era, and they kind of had merged from that. So the best way to describe it, has a harder edge than I'm a soft edge guy in a hard edge world. But Melancholy and Infinite Sadness, I was working radio when that came out. It was an event, and I still think when I hear that band's name, I go to Tonight. It just the big sounds. Right. It was the song that made me go, oh, okay. Maybe I've misunderstood. And then as time's gone on, I really do respect what they did, and all of those bands that I mentioned. Like I am more of a Nirvana fan now than I was in the '90s.
I love that moment. I had that with you, honestly, a few months ago, where I texted you and said, I'm about to have
you're a fan of me now, but you hated me then? Got it.
Yeah, I finally get Ken after all this time. I didn't quite understand during the different eras. Well, I texted you and I said, I had my most Gen Z or like late millennial thought that I've ever had. And you said, oh, what is it? I said, I think I finally get Born to Run.
Yes.
I think I finally get it.
So happy.
I heard it and was like, oh my God. Like, yeah, everyone's right. This is one of the greatest anthems. This is like a call to live your life. Like that was amazing.
I wish I could look up the text. I was busy in my day, and you just text me this thing of just what you said. I finally get Born to Run, and you kind of went on this. I don't want to speak for you, but you kind of went on other things of like, I don't think our generation has this. Like, I don't know if we like, you're just like, we need this. Like, this is, I get this. And I was like, yeah, man. Yeah. And again, there's a case too, where I did not come up the ranks as a Boss fan. Like my program director was a big Boss fan, and I wasn't. And now I think I love Bruce Springsteen and Gloria, Born to Run and Glory Days, all that stuff. Like, but Born to Run is special. It's special. And I was so happy that you were like, I got it.
It's amazing. So I found it. Because I searched for the keywords, and I only have about 7 conversations on my phone that I don't delete, and you're one of them.
Oh, God
And
bless me.
I said, blah, blah, blah. Do you want to have my young whippersnapper moment of the day? And I said, I think I just got Born to Run. Not what it's about. That's clear. But like, I just listened to it for the first time in forever because I didn't really find Bruce growing up. And I thought, yeah, this is a masterpiece. This is everything everyone says it is. And you said, you're ready for middle age.
Yes. Yes.
Goodbye, Yellow Brick Road.
To run.
That's
Boopin', I'm so right. Yeah.
Yes. Elton, I
yeah.
had that too. Tiny Dancer. I was listening to Tiny Dancer on the plane to London for Celebration, crying.
Oh, yeah. Because especially, I'm a big fan of Almost Famous, but that can become a meme moment too. A meme moment. I want to make clear I'm saying that. Not a mean, but a meme moment where it's from a movie, a popular movie. Sure. Hold Me Closer, Tiny Dancer. You're home. You're here. Like all that. You can get lost in that. It's a great film. You can get lost in that. But there's a reason Elton John is a legend. There's a reason Bernie Taupin is considered one of the great songwriters of our time. Like that stuff, it works. And I love those moments. I love those. Those are generational moments too.
Yeah. Apparently it happens a lot with Radiohead. There's like a Twitter meme that goes around that's like, oh no, he just understood Radiohead. And you'll just like, that's like a really sad image. Like,
I love that. JMB, I just envisioned a sweaty Alden with a headband and denim jacket singing his lungs out. Yeah, absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. The Boss has a post 9/11 song from his album. I think it's the title track, "The Rising." It's such a great song. And I think it's overlooked in the pantheon of Springsteen songs because it comes after a certain era. But yeah, come on for the rising. It's such a good song. Love this. We got more questions. But Steely Dan is one of those bands I didn't understand all when I was young, but I graduated college in 2019 and legit all click. Couldn't tell you why. Yeah, and I like a lot of Steely Dan. They don't. I get them, but don't connect with them as much, and that's always going to be the case. I'm not a huge Led Zeppelin fan, Pink Floyd fan. That just comes down to the hardwiring of your brain and soul. But love this. You got great questions coming in. This is turned into fun. But Boopenheim, this is I want video footage of all of you in these moments discovering these songs.
That would be really, really great. Like a good idea for like eventually when we've got budget, like Anytime documentaries, it'll be like when Anytime presents, when did you get it? Just talk to people about their breakthrough.
It's amazing. It's a good idea. No one steal that.
If you steal that, we will end up in litigation.
Finally found my future lies beyond the yellow brick road. All right.
Legitimately phenomenal. And I'm also a big fan of Rocket Man. I think it's one of the best biopics we've ever had because because Elton understood he doesn't have that I need to protect myself and not show the truth of my issues and how difficult I was. He instead leaned all the way into it and presented it like a Broadway musical. So the songs don't just needle drop. The characters emerge and break out into song as it plays. And the Yellow Brick Road in that is devastating. It's a devastating arrangement when Bernie leaves him and is like, you're ruining everything, and he's phenomenal. Yeah.
Cue Danny DeVito's "I Get It" from the very important episode of "It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia." I get it. It's amazing.
So good.
Great questions. Great questions coming in here. We got Jared has this question here. I'm meeting my biggest hero in August at a con. How does one just not fanboy and start crying? Okay.
Might I ask who? Just curious.
Yeah. I want to know who. I want to know a little more context, Jared.
I have thoughts on this. I don't know if you
okay. I do.
The reason I say it like that is because I know you're not a stand in line for the photo op guy. In the time I've known you, you don't do that.
I don't do that, but that's just my thing. Yeah. Oh, this is Clive Barker.
Oh, interesting. That's cool.
I think I have probably less to say because I don't have the specific experience to this. But it's like when you truly are around someone that means something to you, I think it's okay to express that. I think it's okay. I wish there's times I wish I did. I had a chance to meet Frank Oz at the Last Jedi premiere. I backed off of it. I regret that. I had a chance to say hello to Phil Tippett in Anaheim outside of a hotel. I was like, I don't want to bother him. So I understand it's nerve wracking, and no, don't be okay with that, Jared. But I think they'll appreciate it. They're there for a reason, and cynically, if they're at a con, they might be there to make money. All right, great, but they're there because they get it, and I think it's okay to just say thank you, and maybe share a specific detail as quick as you can about something that they did that affected you. I think, and the thank you isn't a ass kicking thanks. It's a ass kissing, I should say. It's sincere, just thanks for everything, thank you, I think that's okay. As far as maintaining your emotions, I've been in situations. I've told the story too, but like when the music of Eels, Mark Oliver Everett, I couldn't. I stood next to him at Davy Wayne's in L.A. at it's a small, ultra hip kind of like club bar vibe, and my friends knew him. My friend was like, "Do you want to meet him?" And I was like, "I can't. I have cried to his music, and I need to keep that for myself, and I don't want to put that on him."
That's a lot. Yeah, I mean, it's about that vulnerability in the emotional exchange, I think, is really key. And I think what's helped me a lot is that, my mom's brother, my middle uncle, my older uncle, that's how that works. He has always been a big like Comic Con guy, big conventions nerd and stuff. And since I was a kid, he's always told me like, remember that these are just people. Remember that these are just people. And sometimes, he would send me an autograph. Like he would send me like, oh, I met, Matt and Jeff Hardy at a con, and they would say like, happy birthday, Alden. Like they would send it to me or whatever. And he would be like, but they're just people. They will have great days. They'll have bad days, just like you will. It is their job, just like you have your job. But just like we have our job and our bad days, they also have, as artists, a lot of the time, anxiety and fear over, did anything that I make matter? Does it really matter? I mean, we make podcasts, and in your case, write books or do stand up, and that we wonder sometimes, like, does it amount to anything? Does anyone actually give a shit? And so sometimes that affirmation from you that it does matter can really work wonders. This uncle I'm talking about met Patrick Stewart at the height of the original X-Men trilogy and said, hey, I just want you to know that, this small, whatever play it was that Patrick Stewart had done way back that my uncle got to see, he's like, that performance really meant a lot to me. And Patrick Stewart, who has nothing to prove and is already Jean-Luc Picard at this point, said to him, I didn't think anyone remembered that. And that story's always stuck out to me because it's like that matters. So, in certain ways, like I've been fortunate where most of the celebrity experiences that I've had, either in conventions or through work, because working in radio, it's a constant with, comics or musicians and whoever else, call-ins or whatever, that most of them have been really good. All my Star Wars ones have been really good. Most of my comics ones have been really good. But you just have to approach it like you're talking to somebody at a coffee shop. I think that will give you the best result. If you're meeting him and you immediately jump into a super specific thing, you might set yourself up to be disappointed. Like I've never met George, but like if you meet George Lucas and you're like, so there's that scene in Jedi, like he might not even know that. But I think if I met George Lucas, I would just say like, George, like what songs have you been listening to? Like what are you watching? Like the last time we got a what are you watching George update was when he was on the Game of Thrones set. That's how we knew that he liked that show.
That's right.
But we don't know in the 5 years since then. So ask Mr. Clive Barker, like what he's reading, or what horror characters have been created that are not his, that he's excited about, and try to get in touch with their inner nerd, and you won't be as disappointed, I think.
Yeah, and it is sometimes those encounters are what they are, and you can get shuffled through pretty fast. I know. I love Joseph Scrimshaw's story of meeting, quote unquote, meeting Ian McDiarmid at Anaheim was almost hilarious for how much of a meeting it wasn't, but it's still there. So, anyways, yeah, there's a reason we all do this. So there you go. There you go. Good question. Good thoughts. Thank you. And we've already got Jared crying, so that's a good thing there.
That's good.
All right. Anyone else? Grab one there, buddy.
Yeah, let's see here. If you had, this is from our friend Coop, if you had to buy a book that means a lot to you as a gift for someone, what would it be? Now, Scotty, who's also in the comments, is great at this because he will send you randomly a copy of Joseph Campbell's The Power of Myth, which he has done.
He sent
to
me.
He sent you one.
Me, which I wrote and it's still on my shelf, Scotty. Haven't started reading it because just books are escaping my schedule right now. But it's like I've never actually read it.
I hadn't read it until he sent it to me. Like it's such a great. This means something to me because it is sharing a part of yourself. In gifting books. Gifting books is a little bit more of a challenge than gifting movies because reading is a time commitment that is different, and not everybody enjoys reading. I think it's because not everybody has found their in yet. I don't think I fundamentally don't think that the person who hates reading actually exists. It's more so people that have been taught to dislike it because it feels like work. But I mean, I'm looking at my shelf right now. My favorite book is The Great Gatsby because I'm a basic Tumblr bitch in that way. Like I am at my core an AP English class loser.
That's fair. That's fair.
So The Great Gatsby, I mean, just means a lot to me emotionally, and I was the only person in my AP Lang class that defended the character of Jay Gatsby. And I was basically put on trial for this, and it's one of my favorite education memories. But also, Robert Rodriguez's Rebel Without a Crew is essential to me. Like being in middle school and reading about like the mythology, like he donated his body for science and made El Mariachi was $7,000. Like that meant everything to me back then.
Okay. I was in film school when all that came out, and I was like, God, there's so much pressure. I can't even get $7,000. Yeah, it's tough, because there's a lot of books, I'm a big Hornby guy. I would share something, but it's like, you're given the gift of your soul, right? And that's, that can be tough. And I think, Scotty's sharing, the myth stuff. It's like, that's going to, look at the world I work in, so that's going to work. But I've had some friends who've shared me some stuff, actually purchased me some books, and I'm like, I feel bad. I'm like, I don't know if I'm ever going to read that. Like, I think you miscalculated. This means something to you, but it's not what I'm looking for. And so I respect, though, anyone, and I appreciate anyone reaching out and saying, hey, here's part of my soul. For me, I don't know, man. You can go to the classics, but, I don't know. Steve Martin's Born Standing Up is one that affected me. If you liked that doc, that is on Apple TV. Check out Born Standing Up. It's actually more heart wrenching. It's actually brutal and painful at times. You get the full scope of what his father did to him. But beyond that, it's about being creative. So there's stuff like that I do and share. And there's some politically charged ones. The storm is here. The story of how we led from the pandemic and prior to January 6th is one that I'm like, this is required reading. But I don't know if it's one that's going to move people.
Yeah, like, are you trying to depress them at a certain point?
Yeah, scare them. It's scary. It's scary. It's a great book. Luke Mogelson, The Storm is Here. I recommend it. I don't know if I'd share it.
I also would like to recommend, because I was, to the surprise of nobody, I was that kid in middle school and high school that would tell my teachers, like graphic novels are literature too. Watchmen was on Time Magazine's top 100 novels, which is true. And not that I'm recommending Watchmen to everybody, because, I have more of a personality than that. But I think that
I don't know, Gatsby. I don't know.
I might have tanked that. I might have tanked that credibility about 2 minutes ago. In terms of graphic novels, I think Tom King's Mr. Miracle is absolutely essential. I think that there are certain, there are certain things where it's like you want to take their temperature. Like if I'm going to recommend you like a Batman story and you're just going to write it off because it's Batman, then I won't waste my time. But there are some great, you don't need to, because that's what everybody wants now, right? Everyone says they want to not need anything else. Can I watch The Acolyte? Do I need to watch anything else? There are so many iconic comic book things where you don't need anything else. And so many of them are absolutely beautiful and stunning. I'm looking at just some last minute book things. Yeah, I mean, hit us up for book recommendations. I'm happy to do so.
I got to get back. I'm halfway through the Rise of the Red Blade. I'm halfway through Living Force. I just have stopped. I'm close to finishing the book about Cliff Nefterhoff's book about the history of cancel culture and comedy, which is one of those things where you're like, oh yeah, it did exist, and it was definitely the right wing trying to cancel people throughout history, and definitely the wrong people saying, I can't even say these words anymore. It's a great book. I can't even. Yeah. And I experienced. I had a comedy show. Change the subject. I had a comedy show Tuesday night, and an absolute legend, someone who I really think's a legendary comic, but no surprise, did 15 minutes, and 9 minutes was I could have had Chat GPT write. If I said Chat GPT, write a comedy set for an angry 70-year-old white male upset that what he can't say or do anymore. ChatGPT would have got to 98% accuracy of what this guy's set was.
It was just every version. It was everything,
and he spent about 5 minutes dropping homophobic slurs, gay slurs.
Jeez.
The classic. Don't do that anymore. He did it for about 4 minutes. He just kept saying it.
And I would guess that this man's material from back in the day was much smarter and more varied. And
and here's the struggle. Like he still was getting some laughs every now and then because he's a great comic, and that's the frustration that comes in for me to watch that stuff. To watch the inability to get the change and just not find your place in what's going on. It was stunning. I can't remember what made me think about that, but
I would just real quick want to say, got some new people watching that haven't watched before. One of them is my friend Liv, who brings up the same Watchmen thing. Liv says grade 9 because Liv is Canadian instead of saying 9th grade like we do here in America.
You know where I learned that? You know where I learned that they did that? Bruce McCullough's comedy album where he has a whole song about grade 8. And I was like, oh, okay.
But I bring up Liv because I wanted to, shameless plug for our friends. Liv writes a new series called Walking the Kessel Runway about the fashion in the Star Wars galaxy and thematically what the different outfits mean, the context, the costume design, the different choices. And today wrote about Kira's black dress from Dryden's Yacht, which
I'm going to read it. I'll read that. Send me that link because I think there's so much to it. That sounds like right up the Force Center alley there. So that's amazing.
Absolutely.
And also why I feel it was really important to get a director involved who did more than just say, I don't know, play a femme fatale. Anyways, separate.
I wonder what those guys are up to. But okay, is it your turn to pick? Go ahead.
Oh yeah, we're taking some questions here. We got about 5-6 more minutes left in the show. We got a very important question. We have had some deep questions, none deeper than this one from Jerry the Cannon Junkie. Taco Bell's giant Cheez-It, yay or nay? If it comes to Taco Bell, I'm gonna lean towards nay because I'm such a Del Taco mark. And Taco Bell is good, but the results aren't great, and I just don't trust anything. And I'm gonna look this up while you're answering because I'm not even sure what this is.
Look it up. It's kind of one of those, like, it is a monstrosity, but it's not surprising. Like, it is exactly what you're imagining in a lot of ways. I'm gonna say nay.
No.
Morally, I'm gonna say nay, but I know that there is a level of high that I can hit where I will say yay. So, like, there is a way, there is a path toward this cheese.
Yeah, man. I would try it. It's not that I don't. I love Cheez-Its, by the way. I love the burnt Cheez-Its that we call them roasty toasties in our house here. I absolutely would have this. If Jerry walked up to me in Anaheim and said, hey, bro, want to try my Cheez-It? I'd be, let me bite that big thing, put it in my mouth. And we'd laugh, say giggity, and I'd have a good time for about 10 minutes. But morally, this is an abomination. This is proof that God does exist because there's an evil in the world trying to take him down. This is horrible.
Wow, what an incredible... That's a bit in and of itself, like how I know God exists, and then it's a Taco Bell bit. That's
I know.
phenomenal.
I'll write that down. I'll write that
That's
down.
good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my thought on that. It is absolutely an abomination, but at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, live fast, die young, carpe diem. We're here for a good time, not a long time. All
Yep.
those.
Yep. I would do. Good stuff. Good question.
Another quick one back in the music realm. Who's your favorite guitarist? Favorite guitar player?
Man, look, I got to tell you, as much as I love music, I am so bad at this kind of stuff. Like I see that I don't have that of course I love The Edge. I'm a U2 fan and some of the legends.
Yeah,
I'm a Beatle fan. George Harrison, yeah, gonna love it. Um, I don't look at it that way. I look at the sum of the parts,
sure.
and not the parts. I don't have those great answers. I definitely won't answer Eric Clapton ever again in my life.
Hmm.
He can rot in hell when he gets there. But
Yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean. I don't have that answer, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, Eli's throwing out Hendrix,
Yeah.
Scotty with Prince. I can't argue with either of those. I mean, I love, Sir Brian May. I think
Okay.
Brian May, fantastic, of course, with Queen. Newer stuff, my favorite band of all time, My Chemical Romance with Ray Toro.
Okay.
I think as a lead guitar and rhythm pair, and they've won awards as a pair.
Yeah.
Zach, they have stage names. Zachy Vengeance and Sinister Gates from Avenged Sevenfold are pretty
Oh,
amazing.
okay. I'm glad you told me that. I would assume those were their Christian names. Yeah.
Zachy Vengeance, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, you're right though. Ultimately, like I'm not a musician, so it's like
Mm-hmm,
I give very like layman's opinions, but like Scotty and I have talked about, I think musically modern Kiss, the Kiss that's existed for the last 20 something years, is the best Kiss. I think Tommy Thayer
mm-hmm.
will always be underrated because so much of what he's doing is carrying Ace's torch,
Mm-hmm.
but he is technically and legitimately, I think, the best one they've ever had
Mm-hmm.
as
Yeah.
a player.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, no, and we have, yeah. So I struggle with the answer. I apologize. Maybe if I had time, I'd plan that. We have this update. Scotty says, "Ken, if I sent you $25 and paid for it, would you do a stream eating the Taco Bell cheese?" Yeah, of course I would. Of course,
Ken's like, don't you understand what industry this is?
of course I would. Of course I would. Yeah, and maybe if we coordinate it, that you get one and I get one, and we both sit down and eat it. Yeah,
That'd be great.
I love a good internet there.
And we got to
I don't.
pick one sucker from our friend group to sit in, whoever it would viscerally offend the most. Maybe like Ellis, because he seems like he has good taste.
No, he
I
does
don't
not.
think
No, he does not. Are you
he
kidding me?
doesn't.
No, are you kidding me?
I feel like he'd be like, I'm not sinking to that
Ellis,
level.
Mark Ellis, when it comes to food, is the most basic bitch food eater that there ever is. He's like can I have a hamburger? Hold the mustard and ketchup. Like he's disciplined because he's healthy. So every salad he's like salad dressing on the side. But if you put like anything that's like from sushi or Thai food, everything he pushes at the table, but pushes himself back for the table. Nope, he is as simple as they come.
It just dawned on me. It would offend Dorina the most because she knows all the good taco spots.
Yes. I know Dorita's been, had some big life things happen. Send your love to Dorita. She had a loss that hurt her a lot, and we love her dearly. She's part of the family. So maybe we could say, hey, would you like to be the judge on two dipshits eating Taco Bell Cheez-Its?
She would enjoy making fun of us for it.
There you go. We could do that. We got book it, says Jerry the Cannon Junkie. So okay, here's the thing. Next week I have a doctor's appointment. I mentioned potentially important. So if I come out of that unscathed, we're doing this. We're doing the Taco Bell Cheez-It.
That'll be your reward.
And it's gonna be breakfast for me because I got to make sure I can even get it. Because it's an 11 a.m. start for me.
Sure.
So we'll check, but you can get it for lunch, and we can do that.
Yeah. We'll give it its own time slot if we need to. Like we'll do a bonus or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Dylan Barry, if we did Anytime with Ken and Alden live from the Sphere, who would you want to interview and who would you want to be the musical guest? Well, that's interesting. I mean, Haley Williams has to be the musical guest for this show because she is the official rock star of Anytime with Ken and Alden.
Yeah, it's a shared love. Man, that's tough. I mean, I definitely, like I said, I'd love to see Gaga, what she would do in that space. As far as interviewing, I don't know. Yeah. Haley would be interesting to get some. There's someone who's gone through who's grown up in the business, being signed so young, 15, 16, and where she is now, and growing and changing from essentially a Christian pop punk band to where she is now. That'd be amazing. Yeah.
Do you have, because we're both broadcasters by trade and are trained in it, but you're not, per your own admission, a one-on-one interview, like that's not your preference.
I like it, and I feel I'm pretty good at it. I just I don't know how to explain it. Yeah, I enjoy him a lot. Like I grew up watching Tom Snyder's Late Late Show. Like him, before the truth of him was revealed, I was a sucker for a Charlie Rose interview. Like later with Bob Costas, even like I don't have any problems with those. I just don't feel it's my strength. Yeah, I don't know what my strength is, but yeah.
I mean, I think you have lots of strengths, but I say that to say I don't know if you keep a dream interview guest list.
I don't.
I do keep that list. Yeah. So that's why. Yeah.
What a nerd.
Like immediately for us, because again, you're trying to pick the perfect person to become the third in our situation. Like if me and Ken were at a bar and we were like, "Hey, we saw you from across the bar. We like your vibe," like that type of thing. I think Phoebe Waller-Bridge would be an amazing person to bring on.
Okay.
To talk to.
Yeah, I mean, a big fan.
Comedy and all that stuff.
She's good too. One of the key things for me why I don't do a ton of interviews, I love blathering conversations. This is where the backdoor pilot for this was that. So I think it's good. I don't have the hang and chat vibe. I am a little bit more of an old schooler, so that can be a problem. I don't want to turn into an old man, cranky, grumpy guy. I don't think people know how to be guests on shows. Just like I sometimes I don't think they know how to be call-in guests. But like it's a performance, and I can't tell you how many like wonderful, neat, spectacular people, YouTubers, whatever you bring into a show or they're on a live show, they just don't know how to be guests. Josh McCouga had a great talk show in his literally his apartment living room called for a while it's called Between the Sheets, and they had to change that name. And Josh is really good. He's a good hang and chat guy, and he's good. He can get into it. But we would talk often about some 100,000 follower YouTube host that come in and they just don't know how to be guests. You can't get anything out of them. They're not entertaining. They're not charming. They're uncomfortable with it. And so I sometimes had trouble running up against that. Whereas like, all right, we're not dancing. You don't want to dance. You don't know how to dance. I don't want to bring it out of you. That sounds grumpy. That's where I'm at. I think you might have a different approach.
No, I get you. I mean, I had a popular millions of followers TikToker on Octo Radio to talk about Star Wars because they said they were a big Star Wars fan, and I was like, you know what, maybe this will be like my olive branch to the TikToks. Like maybe there can be an alliance of some kind. There isn't, but and I ended up pausing the recording about 5 minutes in and saying, hey, let's just talk for a sec, because you seem a little bit not used to this in the nicest way possible. Yeah. She was like, I tried to keep the pronoun out of it, but yeah, it's a woman. She was like, okay, yeah, you're right. I don't know. I'm kind of in my own head, and I'm like, this is not what you're used to doing, and that's fine. Like, let's just chat.
Yeah. I want to be clear too. I think what you're also describing too is something where it's like, like I can't do what they like. You and I have talked off air. I've tried to set up a camera and just do a vlog in my car. I can't do it. I don't have the skill set. Other people do. And so a lot of people rise to a position of power and prominence doing that because it's a skill set and it's very marketable and it's very popular, and I don't take that from them. I'm not saying my format's better than their format. I'm just saying it's sometimes frustrating. So back in some of the Jedi Council days, we'd bring in some pretty high profile people from YouTube, Vine, whatever, at the time, and they would get to the set and it was live. And they'd sit down, and it wasn't just a matter of whoa, I'm intimidated. One who eventually turned out to be kind of part of the fandom menace and a complete a-hole. But we brought him in. He was a reaction guy. He was shaking, and I'm not making fun of him. He was just like, and then we also brought a guy. He I don't know if he's still based, but he's Australian-based guy, very popular brand, and he couldn't. He was like, I don't know how you do this every week. I don't know how you do this every week. And he was having an internal crisis over it. I'm not saying I'm better than them. They're better than me. It's just like I just got tired. I got tired of running up against that because it's like, cool, great. Now I got a dead fish on the show with me for 45 minutes.
Yeah, but it does go both ways, because if you were like, hey, do 8 photo shoots in a day and go to these things and find your angles for this and edit this, I'd be like,
I can't do a Instagram reel to save my life.
So it is different. Real quick, Ken Plume says, "Where am I in this?" And the best thing is that I don't know if you're referring to the taco or the sphere, but you're invited to both.
You can eat it. You can eat a Taco Bell Cheez-It in the sphere.
In the sphere, exactly. You
all right,
time
come
to
on.
hit these last two?
Yeah, let's get through them. I'm getting all that. I'll tell you what I'm getting. I'm getting Slack notifications, which means I got to get into a meeting soon. All right. All right, let's run through them. I did this a little bit on the Blathering yesterday, my personal show on my YouTube channel there. Favorite store at the mall. Mine was a bookstore. Rest in peace, Borders. Happy Barnes & Noble is coming back to 3rd Street. This is 8984M. Brady. Stores. Favorite stores and stores that could be gone. Like, I'm a big, love KB Toys. Gone. Love Borders books. Mostly gone.
Yeah,
you?
A lot of them gone. We used to have a movie stop next to our GameStop, and that was phenomenal. I loved that. Of course, the rentals, like just any Hollywood Video. So Blockbuster, of course, legendary. Hollywood Video was Blockbuster. If Blockbuster's like, Perfect Kid, like Hollywood Video was the Burnout Kid. Like Hollywood Video was like kind of alternative. Like she was a little saucier, and I loved Hollywood.
Blockbuster had a little bit of "Do you only want to wear 15 pieces of flair" vibes, where Hollywood Video was like, just pick out a damn movie.
Exactly.
Dylan said,
and I'm a Hot Topic guy. Yeah.
Hot Topic guy. Yeah, you've talked about that. Joshua Bernard says, Suncoast Video. That's a great answer. Dylan asks, is Panda Express count? Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, I still miss, there's a plum tree in the Northridge Fashion Center. I don't even know if it's still there. And it was some of the crappiest, like, Chinese food. And I had later on met some friends, some people. There was 2 guys I was working with, Matt Mercer and Jack Conway. And they used to have meetings. When we first met, they're like, "Oh, you work at that mall? Oh my God, we go to the Plum Tree because it's the worst, best Chinese buffet food around." And I miss that. And
yeah,
it would make you sick. And I miss the sickness that it gave me.
That's probably concerning and should be unpacked.
Yeah. There you go. Dylan Barry asked this question. How do we feel about Spaceballs? I'm around the same age as Alden. I saw the movie as a little kid and it was hilarious. Would be interested to hear how it holds up. It's never held up for me. I love Mel Brooks and respect he's done so many things and things that don't immediately get associated with him as a producer and everything like that. But sometimes his comedy is a little what I describe as hey, schmeckle on my Dougal, and it's not my favorite thing. But I do love a lot of individual things, and I think he has his place. I saw Spaceballs in the theaters. Yep, of course I liked it. We ain't found shit. Great line, loved it. After that, immediately, I revisited with a friend of mine in about 1993. We sat down, we had a VHS. We're like, let's watch Spaceballs, and I sat there in silence and went, yeah, it's not for me. So it does not hold up for me at all. You?
Yeah, I think Spaceballs was probably one of my earliest exposures to the idea of not just parody, but that like you could do like a big parody like that. Like it wasn't just we made fun of it sometimes on Family Guy. It was someone got a whole ass movie made to make fun of not just Star Wars but other sci-fi that's in there, like Alien and things like that. It was so that was new. It had a newness to it in the sense of that, like, whoa, these are jokes that I get, but it whether or not it holds up, I haven't watched it in a few years, but like I would maybe say like it's got like a 50-50 joke success ratio. When Spaceballs is making jokes about plot conventions and film, like now is then and then is now, like when they're watching the VHS or Spaceballs, the merchandise and all that shit. Like
some of
that's
funny.
Yeah, that's funny. When some of the hokier, like, is Pizza the Hut still funny? Not really, but like, Spaceballs. If they ever did, no, look, so he has joked for years. Spaceballs 2: The Search for More Money. I liked Rick Moranis' idea that I think he threw out in an interview years back, where he said that he told Mel they should do Spaceballs 3: The Search for Spaceballs 2. That shit sounds really good to me. So.
That could, but it's not unlike Traveling Wilburys Volume 1 and Volume 3, where it was 2, and 3 was not as good as 1. Big update. We got one final question here, then I do have to go, Alden, but I have received the donation from Scotty. I have received it. The money's been received. We're gonna do this Taco Bell Cheez-It challenge, and we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this, and give me a couple weeks. I got to see what my doctor says, and then we're gonna do this.
Sure. See if you're in fighting shape for this season.
Love that. Scotty, you're a monster. All right, final question. Jared says your quick thoughts on the Acolyte. First thing I'll say is, hey, please check out Force Center. We are really proud of the discussion we had. We had a 2-hour discussion of the first 2 episodes. And my quick take is, number one, I've been looking forward to the Acolyte for so long, since it was first announced and since I saw stuff in London. So I was primed to already love it. That's fair to say. I liked the first 2 episodes. Yes. But I love the discussion about them more. Like, we got into it on Force Center in a good way, pulling apart some of the themes, pulling some of the stuff that Yord represents and what was at play and everything. And I don't want to go too much spoilers here on a non-Star Wars podcast. That got me even more excited than I thought. I thought the first 2 episodes were good. There's, you're always going to like, well, that's not so much for me. This, that, I could nitpick it to death. But I was like, yeah, I'm excited for what's coming next. But the discussion, the theme work, I think is really strong.
Now, Ken can't say this because he's one of the hosts of Force Center and a co-creator of Force Center, but I can say it. The best period Star Wars period show period ever. Period. Okay. Truly, before I even knew Ken, I was like, this is the show for me. And the more people that find it, the best coverage of the show can be found on Force Center. Alex and Molly talking about Force Center. People listening to it and being like, oh my God, this made me love something in a different way. You guys killed it with that discussion. Something that I barely listen to episode discussions anymore of anyone. I don't make them anymore because I was like, I need to leave that portion of my schedule free, from this rush. But you absolutely crushed it. And I already loved the episodes. You made me love them more. So cheers to you and Jennifer. And of course, Thanks, Mr. Scrimshaw. Really good shit. In terms of the show, I mean, yeah, I loved it. I mean, I'm a High Republic guy. I sitting here, it's all over my room and my life. And so I was
Gatsby in there.
Also, I have 2 copies of Gatsby on the shelf over here. But because I'm that guy where it's like, oh, I like that new cover. I got to buy it again.
It's a good cover. Yeah.
But the aura of the show being that perfect bridge between what they're doing in publishing and what George did with Phantom Menace, like, you can see how it has a foot in both. It's like, yeah, for light and life, and wow, this amazing, beautiful lesson that Master Soul is giving to these children. But then at the end of the lesson, in a hushed tone, he's like, our political opponents. Like, both are existing and clashing, and the story and the themes are inside of that clash, I think, in a really beautiful way. And the cast is killing it. And, this is Anytime. This isn't Force Center or Octa Radio, so I will just say, if you're concerned about fire in space, fuck you. I got nothing for you. I
got nothing for you either. If you're concerned about that, if you're concerned about an actor in a press tour getting names wrong, I'd like to introduce you to Alec Guinness and Harrison Ford, or George Lucas, Leia. You let us know what he decides. Like, that kind of stuff. And in the age of grifters, the reign of grifters, and they're not going away. There's too much money in it. I've been happy this week to see just a lot of folks beyond just even the bubble going, stop it, stop it, stop it. So there you go.
Again, last thing, member of the Yord Horde. You member of the Yord Horde?
So I love Yord is my favorite part of the show, and Charlie Barnett, who was the actor who misspoke in an interview. He's the best thing on the show, and I think the best acting performance for me. Like, E. Jung Jae's doing amazing work with Soul. I think we're in solid hands with everyone. But I just love what he's doing because I love what he represents. I made the joke on Force Center, like, Yord's right, y'all. But in saying Yord is right, I said this on Force Center, but I can throw it to you here as we wrap up and also talk about Casually Talk. Saying Yord is right is like me saying in the world of Westeros and Game of Thrones and just Essos, Tywin Lannister was right. Stannis Baratheon was right. For the game and the world that was set up, their ideas were right.
Yes.
The thing is, the show's making you question the game. The show is making you say, they were right for dominance, for power, but they lost, and they lost themselves in the process. And Yord is that guy for me. We're like, no, everything he's saying procedurally is right. You taught him those rules. We're here to question those rules. And I think that's why I love Yord so much.
Yeah, it should be an unsettling indictment that Yord would absolutely shine and would probably make it to the council in the prequel era. Like, Yord as a Clone Wars era Jedi would probably be one of their greatest generals because he is that by the book guy. Yord is the exact type of guy that Ki-Adi-Mundi would love, that Mace Windu would love, which is not an indictment on any of those as human beings or Syrians. They are great people. They're standing for right, for righteousness and the higher public, for light and life. But yeah, he is, and we always say like, oh, if only Anakin had been born earlier, if only Yord had been born later. Because he's ahead of the curve on certain things. And Vernestra, having been the prodigy of the better time, now being this 117-year-old woman who's like, we got to have a meeting about this soul. Like, she has her foot in both approaches. And can she?
Yeah.
How long will she be able to?
Yeah. Yeah, and see, now you got me started. And I don't want to say this with any kind of grumpiness, but I've seen some wonderful people talk about, well, this show it's exposing part of the corruption of the Jedi. It's not the correct term. What Yord represents is not corruption. He's not planting evidence on people. He's not taking bribes. What Yord represents, what you just talked about with Vanessa, represents the Jedi Order getting to this point, and the erosion is coming from the inside. The erosion is coming from the adherence to rules. It's seeing, not feeling. Yord is seeing things. He's not feeling things. And I talked about it on the show of just directly relating it to some law enforcement things of, you have a younger, rule-abiding generation that is not understanding how to resolve conflicts without going to the hip for their weapon, and that is the erosion. Corruption is going to be around the corner. Sure, got it, good. But you could point at that in a lot of spots. The erosion of the institution of the Jedi Order is that its system became too rigid and it's not flowing. And Yord's representing that. And I don't think this is a series about making the Jedi the villains. It's not a series about showing that they're corrupt, because it's not what's been on display. But what is cracking is their secrets, their souls, their procedures, what's expected, and fear. And I think it's doing a wonderful job, even more than the episodes have done yet. What it's asking is more powerful than even what's on display to me. So that's why I love Yord and love the show.
And that.
But on that note. You
did
that. You did that. You got me started. I'm now getting, speaking of meetings with Vanessa Rowe, I'm getting more notifications. We're wrapping up. But before we do have an official update. Yes. You and I finally had a chance to talk related to Casterly Talk and going forward, coverage of House of Dragon Season 2, Rings of Power, and beyond. I'll start by saying, at this point, I'm going to be moving into more of an executive producer role because I'm I'm kind of retiring from talking about Game of Thrones and Rings of Power publicly. I just don't have it in me. I don't have a desire for it. I just want to sit back and enjoy things like I did in 2011. But that might change, and that might change when I want to come on. Alden's not in that spot, and we're going to continue Casterly Talk. It's going to be almost like this, less structured, less here's this, that. It's going to be a discussion with those who want to join after the episodes. Alden, pitch what you got going on, and hopefully I will be able to join from time to time.
Yeah, I mean, there's just no way that you're not going to see Ken during the season. I think that's fair to say. Something will move him to tears or will be so great that he has a take, even if it's just 5 minutes, which is similar to how we handled Willow. I took the A role, you moved to the B role on Willow, and I brought in friends and panelists and our collaborators, and it'll be sort of like that. After House of the Dragon over on the Casterly Talk channel, I'll be going live. I'll be doing streams like this. I'll be talking directly to you. But guess what? If you don't have anything to say, I will just monologue for 40 minutes to an hour, and we'll work it that way. I'll bring in friends like Nikki Kumar, Rachel Cushing, Andres Cabrera, people that you know and love over there, people that I haven't worked with before that I know love this stuff. We'll work that out too. Ken will be producing. I mean, he created it. It's his show. It's his brand. It's his channel. So it's not Ken leaves. It's that Ken only has 24 hours in a day, and you're not going to dedicate the bandwidth to knowing what battle Damon was at when a certain there's just not enough time.
I'll tell you what really cemented it, because I was going back and forth with it, because it could also be a moneymaker for me, and I have to take that into consideration. But when they confirmed Tom Bombadil for season 2 of Rings of Power as Rory Kinnear, an actor I like, whose father was in the Beatles films and in Willy Wonka, I had no opinion of it. No negative, no positive. I was just like, cool, can't wait to see it. And I did not want to go on a show to talk about it. And that's the for the love of the game moment where you're like, I don't want to can't go on the field anymore. I'm retiring. and
Whereas when Tom Bombadil was announced, I got an all caps "holy shit" text from Nikki, which I think means we should probably talk about it.
And I want to give more room to Nick Duck, but I will pop on. So from time to time, it's great. All right, we're out of here. I do want to do one housekeeping thing. If you're local, June 30th, Sunday, June 30th, I'm headlining for the first time at Flappers Comedy Club, their Yoo-Hoo room, which is a great little intimate room. Going to be squeezing about 70 people in there. I want to sell this thing out, and I need to get tickets sold within a couple weeks here. So if you're local and you want to see some great comedy with Mark Ellis and his food choices, Jen Sturger and Joe Starr, go to flapperscomedy.com. Tickets are there, or you can go to my website, kennapzok.com. Love to see you if anyone's local, and it's going to be a fun night. I'm doing about 40 minutes. So, all right, there we go. You got it? Any final words? Let's get out of here.
My final word is don't be a Yord in the bad ways.
Learn from Yord. But be a Yord when it comes to your physical fitness.
Yes. Steam your clothes.
Steam your clothes. Bye, friends. Bye.